Good morning. Now, we usually don't talk about saints here at Unity Center of Peace, this being unity, but there is one in particular that I felt is appropriate to talk about today because today is our blessing of the animals. So, do you know who I'm talking about? Saint Francis of Assisi, that's right. And, well, full disclaimer here, I was not raised Catholic, so my knowledge of him is limited. But what I've learned, I love. I mean, wow, what a presence of love he was. You know, and his devotion to the divine was, as you know, expressed through his love of all God's creatures. He was a lover of animals. He saw them all as his brothers and sisters, and you may have seen depictions, artistic depictions of birds flocking to him and landing on his shoulders, and four-legged of all variety come and from all over and sit at his feet, and he would preach. He would share messages of love with them. He saw all of life as an expression of the divine, as expression of the divine light. And even, humans too. He took care of, he showed this tender, loving care to lepers when, most people were like, get away from me. And I also found it interesting to learn that he tried to negotiate peace between Muslims and Christians during the Fifth Crusade. Unfortunately, unsuccessfully, but, he gave it his all. So he saw all of life as sacred. He respected every living thing. And Francis apparently was a man of few words, but big heart, And the words that he did speak were obviously, they came directly from that heart of the divine within him. There's one saying that I really love that I saw on a plaque in this beautiful meditation grotto up at the St. Francis of Assisi retreat center that I went to a few weeks ago, that retreat. I took a picture of it. It was very cool. And he says, preach the gospel at all times, and if necessary, use words. I think it's very cool. And you probably all know the prayer of St. Francis, the let me be an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon, etc. But you may not know the prayer for all creation. So I thought I would share that today. And, it's very Christian language, so, you just take that for what it is. Praise be you, my Lord, with all your creatures, especially Sir Brother Sun, who is the day and through whom you give us light. And he is beautiful and radiant with great splendor, and bears a likeness to you, most radiant one. Praise be you, my Lord, through Sister Moon and the stars in heaven. You formed them clear and precious and beautiful. Praise be you, my Lord, through Brother Wind and through the air, cloudy and serene, and every kind of weather through which you give us sustenance for your creatures. Praise be you, my Lord, through Sister Water, which is very useful and humble and precious and chaste. Praise be you, my Lord, through Brother Fire, through whom you light the night. He is beautiful and playful and robust and strong. Praise be you, my Lord, through our sister Mother Earth, who sustains and governs us, and who produces varied fruits with colored flowers and herbs. Now, doesn't that almost sounds Native American, doesn't it? You can see that similarity. It's like St. Francis, like indigenous people, really had this connection, this natural connection with the natural world, with the elements. They saw them as all beautiful expressions of that same one divine life source. Imagine if we all embrace that idea. If all of humanity could embrace that idea that all of life is sacred, that every person, every animal, every tree, every plant, every bug, every body of water is our brother and sister. Wow. I mean, we would naturally have respect and take care of, do whatever we could to take care of every living thing on this planet, which is a far cry from what most of humanity has historically seen, regarded living things on this planet. Most of humanity is regarded living things as just objects, there for our purposes, to serve us, to work for us, to feed us, to be the receptacle of our waste. And of course, when we needed to expand and, industrialize, we just unceremoniously cut it down or burnt it or just killed it in some way. Because, you know what? We have dominion. Mankind has dominion over the earth. Says so in Genesis. What if that was a misinterpretation? What if that saying, biblical times, this was an oral tradition, and it got passed down orally from person to person before it was ever written down, and, translated from one language to another language, maybe mistranslated before it reaches English. So what if the writer of Genesis, the original intention was that we have dominion over our thoughts? We have dominion over our internal environment. We have dominion over our experience. Wow. That would be a whole different thing. A horse of a different color. And imagine if that had been, the sense that we had, the interpretation that we had from the beginning. If that's how we perceived it. Even imagine if, during St. Francis's time, we embraced that idea that all of life is sacred. What if we all saw it all the elements and all of nature as our brothers and sisters? We would not be where we are now. My guess is. Which is what? Code red for humanity. That's what Surgeon General, the UN Secretary General. UN Secretary General, has declared this is a code red. Can't get any more of a warning than red, right? But he did say, the Secretary General did say that if nations came together now, if we combine forces now, that we could avert climate catastrophe. So, I think first of all, the approach is, rather than coming from fear, because that just paralyzes us, right? Oh, I can't do it, it's overwhelming. What if instead we came from a place of love, we came from our heart? We came from our heart. Yes, we treat it as the existential crisis that it is. It's urgent. But so that means that there's an urgency to shift our consciousness, because doesn't it all come from consciousness? It all starts in consciousness. Our behavior, or the way we think about things, and how we act in the world, all comes from consciousness, right? So it's time to shift our consciousness to see and relate to the planet differently, and to begin to see all life as divine. you know. And if we do, if we come from that place, you know, if we see every tree, every blade of grass, every drop of water as our brother and sister, again, we are going to naturally respect and want to do whatever it takes to avoid climate catastrophe. And this idea of combining forces, you know, coming together, collaborating. Isn't collaborating like the word of the year? Imagine if we collaborate. Imagine if all the nations got together and worked together and shared ideas and built on each other's solutions. You know, like one nation has an idea for reversing global warming, you know, and then another nation has an idea about how to do that more effectively, and another nation has an idea about how to do it, you know, more economically. And all of these ideas, we work together, we bring them all together. That's how we're going to get through this. Collaboration. Collaborating. And if we do that from a place of respecting, you know, seeing all of nature as one, as sacred, of respecting and honoring all of life, not only will we survive, we will thrive. And so will all of life. Yeah. Okay, I'll get down off my soapbox now and shift the focus of, I want to talk about your four-legged and winged and scaled brothers and sisters. Your little furry beings or winged beings, right? There's one back there. Yeah, there she is. There she is, yeah. She was our little mascot. Yeah, pets. They're part of our family. They are part of our family. They're almost as important, or sometimes as important, as the rest of the members of our family. And for some people, it's like their children, you know, particularly if they haven't been able to have, like my sister, you know, unfortunately was not able to have children. So she's always had dogs, but not just any dogs. You know, my sister's classy. She has Afghans. She's always had, you know what Afghans are? They're gorgeous. And they've got this hair that goes all the way down to the, you know, the ground. They're good looking as long as they're groomed. You know, there's a lot of grooming involved. But she and her husband, it's just kind of funny how they treat them and talk to them like they're their children. It's kind of fun to see, but it fills a real need, you know? Fills a real need. So pets can add years to our lives. You know, they reduce stress. They reduce, you know, feelings of anxiety and depression. They can really, you know, when you're sitting with a pet and petting that animal, you're kind of filled with feel-good hormones that are healthy for you, that boost your immune system. And they also encourage us to be playful. And isn't that a good thing? Don't we all want to be more playful? Yeah, adults need to be a little more playful like children. It helps us to do that. It helps us also to get exercise, particularly if you've got dogs, you got to walk them, you got to go out. So, you know, sometimes the only exercise people get is walking their dogs, which is good because, you know, gets people out moving, fresh air, and sometimes you meet other people who are walking pets, and it just increases your social circle. Pets can be good for children to teach them how to take care of another sentient being. Responsibility, as long as the parents have them do that. I know from experience how much easier it is to just feed the dog than try to get my children to do it. You know. But for older adults, particularly adults that are alone, it can be really wonderful companionship, right? Now, of course, when our animals get sick, when our pets get sick or, begin to reach the end of their lives, it's stressful. It's stressful, it's sad. It's so unfair that animals have such a much shorter lifespan than we do. And I know many of you have had to, say goodbye to your pets. It's heartbreaking. It is. We had to say goodbye to one of our pets this year. We had her for 13 years, Aurora. Our children grew up with her, and well, towards the end, kind of the last year, she was slowing down and she was having difficulty moving. So we were kind of bracing ourselves for the inevitable, for the last few months. Ooh, that was tough. I don't think we could have ever anticipated what we were in for. She was paralyzed, and incontinent, and she was in a lot of pain. But the thing about Aurora, right, she was so stoic. She just never showed you that she was in pain. So it was hard to tell, when was the right time, because her face was always up and her ears were always up, and she was looking at us and she was taking us in, particularly those last few days. She was just taking us in, before she left. So yeah, it can be heartbreaking. They are a part of our family. And this is why it's so wonderful. I am so grateful we have a prayer team here. We have a wonderful prayer team who can pray with us and, hold us in prayer as we're walking through this difficult experience. We're so lucky to have that. And, so above and beyond the physiological benefits of having a pet, there's the spiritual aspect. Our animals can help us really be present in the moment. They're so good at being fully present in the moment, fully enjoying the now. They can really help us to do that and to help us to see what's important. So there is Science of Mind magazine, which, Science of Mind is kind of the sister organization to Unity. They have a monthly magazine, and they have a column every month written by this dog named Murphy. It's called Murphy's Dogma. And I'm sure the human typed it out, but it's definitely Murphy's messages. So I thought it was appropriate to read a little bit about the one that Murphy wrote in April. And he says, "You and I possess many of the same abilities. Because I am a dog, I am not tethered to your world of words, names, and accomplishments. My heart joyfully embraces a different world. When you open your heart to me, you think you're becoming part of my world, but in truth, it is our world. When you forget the differences between our species, we experience each other as pure love. When what we share is beautiful as the greatest love song ever written. If you were to listen to the breeze with your skin the way I do, you would hear it whispering. You could feel the energy of an impending storm or troubled sky long before it's visible. When you allow yourself to walk barefoot with me, it's possible to feel the ground breathe love into every cell of your body. Beautiful. In a life tethered to accomplishment, it's easy to lose touch with your heart and the love that surrounds you. It's easy to lose your way. Maybe sadness is a longing to connect with the life you were meant to live. I invite you to believe, as I do, that unconditional love thrives in every atom of your being. Unconditional love thrives in every atom of